Hey, deserving listeners, Danielle and Mohamed, 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, Season 1. Let's watch.
I didn't tolerate it.
You didn't?
No, I did not tolerate it.
I would have sent his ass directly
because
back.
There was times when he came back from trips, I had his stuff sitting at the door
I
one
never
time.
would have tolerated
And then every time something like that happens, he's on the phone calling the cops.
For
I
what?
have 10 police reports on me.
Interesting. So, given what we saw in Miami when she was stalking him, we have to wonder if all of those 10 police reports were completely valid and maybe even more were also valid. So he didn't just call the cops on her once, but apparently at least 10 times. That's interesting. So she's saying that as soon as he came to the States, before they got married, he was already not giving her affection and he would just disappear and maybe be with other women. And this other woman is saying, well, why did you marry him then? And she doesn't really have an answer to that. So yeah, it's golly, this relationship. I'm surprised y'all haven't demanded I talk about this couple a long time ago. As I'm watching, I'm thinking, why wasn't this like top 5 like a year ago? Maybe everyone's just sick of them. I don't know.
Process seriously.
I took it serious. I'm the one that did all the paperwork and paid for everything.
But did you do the paperwork because you thought that this was the person for you or because you wanted to get married?
I did the paperwork because I loved him and wanted to build a life with him.
Yeah, I agree. Given what we've seen, I believe that she actually did want to be with him, and she still lives in a fantasy world and didn't really, I think, see him for him. I think she saw him for some kind of version of fantasy. Like in the last Till All, she was hiding in his shoulder. I think maybe some kind of puppy love version almost with her. I don't know. But is that what people think? Is that what Sean is saying? Is that she was just in it to get married and wasn't in it to be married to him? Because I think she was in it to be married. But the vibe I get from her often is regressing to that of like a 13-year-old. 13-year-old falls in love, and if they could, some of them would want to get married. But we all understand that that isn't a very good move, and that's kind of how she comes across to me. Or even younger. I mean, when I was talking in the last tell-all, she seemed like she was 4 throughout the entire tell-all, which was notable, and I'm still trying to figure that one out. But yeah, I think she genuinely, for her immature version of love, I think she genuinely was attached to him in particular.
Going on trips. Me, I would have bought him a one-way ticket back to his country and said, hasta la vista, baby, you're done.
But
it would not have been.
But you're a stronger
strong
personality, I would say, than Danielle is. Okay, by a show of hands, how many of you believed that Mohamed loved Danielle?
Well, this question has been asked to him in various different forms, and he said he did not love her ever. So, I don't think it's a mystery that he didn't love her. Now, did he think he might fall in love with her? That's a huge question there.
Yeah.
No. Our major problems was like bigger than just Louisa, okay?
All right, Melanie, what did you want to say?
Nothing.
I say something.
Seriously, I would have never tolerated this. I would have probably hit you when you looked at her and said, she owes you. She doesn't owe you a damn thing.
Yikes. So violence is not okay, and you don't want to encourage Danielle to continue down that road of abusive behavior by saying she's justified in hitting him.
She brought you here into this country. You're entitled to nothing. She brought you here.
What I meant...
So that, okay, you're entitled to nothing. She brought you here. By implication, she's entitled to something? No. No. Neither one of them are entitled to the things that y'all are talking about. They are supposed to be in a relationship of honesty and trust, and they are supposed to be trying to live a happy life. So this notion of like, she brought you here, and so you, if anyone, you owe her. No, he doesn't owe her anything for that.
I feel like I became her own property, that she's telling me what to do.
Is it
and
true, Danielle?
she's controlling me.
Well, when he's going on trips, I have a reason to be saying something. When
Well,
we
you
had
know that
money issues.
as your wife, doesn't she deserve to know?
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's interesting, this couple, boy, I don't know if I've ever experienced, well, maybe there's others, Colt and Larissa, I suppose, where I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, they have a lot of justifiable anger towards each other. I will say, though, that Danielle's behavior, if we believe his account, which is, you know, potentially credible, I'm just going to say is a more egregious than his. His is, if we're going to believe her and we're going to we're going to take a guess as to what he has done, cheated on her multiple times, almost immediately, maybe wasn't really into her. That's pretty egregious. But the kind of stuff she's been doing is, the entitlement and the stalking and the abuse is, in my book, worse, because it's one thing to trick someone, it's one thing to use someone, it's one thing to hurt someone's feelings. That's awful and very high on the scale of psychopathic behavior. But to intimidate someone and to blackmail someone and to make them feel afraid for their life and to threaten to deport them if they don't come back with you, I think that is worse. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. There's no official scale. But it's interesting to see two people. It's hard to know for him if she's just making it up or he is telling the truth. It's hard to know. I wouldn't be surprised if Danielle's account of the cheating is somewhat accurate. But it's unusual, for me anyway, to see such egregious behavior from both individuals.
Doing fine, she's a good person and everything. She lied to me, but not only about her finances, about everything. She never told me that she has a lot of debts. She never told me that she has criminal record. She never told me that she stole a credit card and she started using it and she got in trouble and she spent time in jail because of that.
Interesting. So is that true? Sometimes people make mistakes crime-wise, but if we incorporate that into our overall data regarding Danielle, then that certainly provides a more richer picture.
And the first one is passing a bad check, and I paid restitution. And there was a credit card that came to the house that we lived in, and I used that credit card to buy like groceries and stuff like that because.
And how old are you?
Okay, so it sounds like from what she's saying is a credit card was accidentally sent to her house and she used it to buy groceries and stuff. And she says, because, now on one hand, we would say, is this some sort of criminally minded, on the psychopathic spectrum? People on the psychopathic spectrum are very prone to breaking the laws. They don't care about laws. They don't care about rules. They don't care about harming other people. And so they'll do that. Or is it because she has a hard time piecing together consequences and just thought, well, because, I wouldn't be surprised if at the time Danielle was like, well, I'll use the credit card, but, it's sort of like, I remember a friend of mine, he went to the ATM, this is, 25 years ago, and it said he had like $10,000, I don't know, a lot of money. And it was a glitch in his account. And, we're 25 at the time. We're like, okay, well, you got to extract all the money. You got to get all that cash before the bank figures it out. And then once you have the cash, then you're good. It's their mistake. It's not your mistake. Well, that's a naive point of view, right? That's not how the law works from what I understand. If he extracted the money, the bank could still say, oh, no, we made a clerical error. You have to give that money back. And if you say, hey, I already spent it, then you actually could be sued. You owe them money, which seems wrong on some level. But at any rate, that's how it works. So Danielle might be thinking the way we did, which is like, hey, free money, instead of actually this is fraud. And maybe that's why she did it. I don't know.
This is something that no man in the world can accept that. And then she was like, sitting on the floor, crying, screaming in front of her teenagers, I want my sex tonight.
So that's a pretty interesting allegation. It's possible that he's exaggerating, but it's also possible that he's telling the truth. I mean, given what we've seen from Danielle and her dragging her kids into it and her entitlement, it's possible that she did this. So that is a huge, huge yikes. You know, there are things on this show sometimes where I feel like we're crossing a line into such disturbing behavior that I don't think this is entertainment. This shouldn't be entertainment. If this actually happened, this should be like a documentary or something that is more of the tone that it should be, which is criminal and disturbing rather than just like frivolous entertainment.
I will call the immigration. I will get you deported.
Oh,
Danielle, can you tell us what he's talking about?
He has told people that I smell and I peed on him.
Okay, this person here, she has some stuff that I don't like. I complained about.
All right. So he's saying that they had sex before marriage. And she didn't refute that, so it sounds like they did. After marriage, after Ramadan, presumably, they said that they didn't have sex, and he said that there was a problem with her, but he didn't want to talk about it. He said, it's a private matter. I don't want to talk about that. And then Danielle just offers it up. She's like, he said that I smell. So I think he was trying to help her by not pointing that out on TV, and he was willing to move on, and then she brings it up, and now they have to talk about it. So I don't know what to think about this. You know, people smell sometimes. The human body creates a lot of different smells, and sometimes someone doesn't prefer that. That's okay. How do you deal with that? How do you talk about it? You know, we remember Ed and Rose. Remember that situation. It's okay to be grossed out by something about your partner. It happens, and I talk with couples about this occasionally, which is, I don't like this about you, or I don't like, it's important to get that out in the open. You want to do it in a nice way. I doubt that they did when they were behind closed doors.
The first time I filed the annulment, it was because of his actions. And then he came to Ohio and talked to me out of it, made promises. We would remain friends. I could talk to him and stuff like that. As soon as he got back down to Florida, started ignoring me, treating me like crap.
So we all have seen Fatal Attraction and the scene where the woman says, I will not be ignored. I will not be ignored, as another stalking situation.
I didn't want to cry, but this is upsetting.
So you're crying now to make people feel sorry?
Well,
Don't you know that people got used to you crying like that? Like crying every single time?
Yikes. So she's crying, I think, genuinely. I don't think she's doing it to manipulate people. I think she's genuinely sad and hurt. And he normally stays out of these kinds of fights, and then he just decides to lay into her. This couple is really something. Hey, deserving listeners, as y'all know, I am constantly recommending that people go to therapy. We all need therapy from time to time. Well, one of the options available that is definitely worth checking out is BetterHelp. If you're looking for a therapist, I would give it a try by going to betterhelp.com/Kirk. Make sure you use the promo code Kirk because you get 10% off your first month, and it really helps us out. As you watch these videos, I know many of you have been motivated to find your own therapist, which is great because you deserve it. And I know also that it can be hard to find a good fit, find the right one for you. Well, one of the options available in terms of your shopping is to go to betterhelp.com/Kirk. I've been told you can start communicating with your therapist in under 24 hours. You can message your counselor at any time. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. I've also been told that it's often less expensive than in-person therapy, and you should know that this service is available to clients worldwide. So go to betterhelp.com/Kirk to get 10% off your first month today.
To destroy her life, like her friend Beth, like the women from social media. That's the only thing. Other than that, this person is not a victim. This person is good at making people feeling sorry for her. Okay?
Danielle, is there anything else that you would?
So I've noticed this too, and it looks like the audience is having a similar reaction as he's so mean, he lacks empathy. And we kind of saw that from the beginning, and I think that that is possible. It's also possible, it's in an and/or situation, that he lost empathy for her when she abused him and tried to control him in multiple ways that we saw on camera and off camera. It wouldn't be unusual to lack empathy for someone who abused you and stalks you. But is it chicken or the egg? Did he have empathy for her and lost it, or did he never have empathy for her and now he really doesn't have empathy for her? I don't know. You make the call. Let me know in the comments.
That nobody will have sex with someone like you.
This is so
She has a
sad.
problem that she needs to see a doctor before she have sex with someone.
Right, but you knew that.
I know, and
When you got married.
I was working with her on that.
Yikes. It's just a lot of hurtful things being said. That's pretty awful what he said. And earlier he was trying to be private about it. Why would you say something like that? Now, if there is something medical going on, I mean, things happen sometimes, but yeah, I mean, why would you say something? Now, I'm getting this vibe from all the other cast members that they're all against Mohamed and they're all kind of on Danielle's side. It seems like they're all kind of against both of them, but particularly Mohamed. And I guess that's fine, but I think that they aren't seeing what at least I'm seeing, which is the tip of the iceberg regarding her behavior and when she stalked him. She stalked him. He did not want her to know where he was living. She figured it out and just showed up at his place and was violent and threatened him. That's stalking, and was wanting him to come back with her. It's interesting, but not surprising that no one sees that because it's a woman doing it. And I guess I thought that people would see it for what it was, but I guess they're not.
I asked her to go and see a doctor.
Mohamed.
Now, at the same time, is he a terrible person and never loved her and never wanted to have sex with her and just put up with it because he wanted a green card? It's possible. I mean, of all the individuals on the show, and I've said this from the beginning, he is a candidate for that. We can't know because we can never know his heart. We can never know his mind unless he admits it, which he kind of has, but also hasn't to the extent that I think people are accusing him of. Yeah, so, you know, both things can be true. Both of them can have problems with their personality.
Bad things about me, and I have my own reason why I'm not having sex with her. I've been quiet.
We heard.
I didn't want to say that, but you kept going on and on, trying to make me say it. Okay, when I say it, you don't like it.
No, I don't like it because
She
of
didn't
her.
like it.
You know, it's not about us.
It's
It's the
about
way you're making it
respecting
feel her.
one another.
That's the reason.
Yeah, so, of course, Mohamed is hard to defend, but I think there is some defense here that they were, I didn't show these clips, but they were saying, did you have sex with her before the marriage? They're like, yeah. Did you have sex with her after the marriage? And they're like, no, it was several months that they didn't have sex after getting married. And everyone was like shocked and taken aback, like, oh, that's so terrible. And we don't know the story there. And there are multiple reasons why someone wouldn't want to have sex with their spouse. A lot of reasons can be there, and emotional reasons because they probably were fighting, maybe preference reasons because of some sexual preference that wasn't being met. Who knows? But this sort of mandate that somehow he's supposed to have sex with her if he doesn't want to. Now, you could extend that and say, like, well, why didn't you want to have sex with her? Was that a symptom of the fact that you were using her for a green card? Then I think you could attack him. But for the fact that he didn't want to have sex with her, I don't understand why he's a bad person. And so they keep badgering him about, like, well, why didn't you have sex with her? What's wrong with you? If you want to indict him on the possibility that he never loved her and he used her, I think you could yell at him for that. But the fact that he didn't have sex with her, I mean, that's just a personal choice that people make. And there are plenty of marriages where they don't have sex. These people act like you owe your partner sex or something when you get married. No, you don't.
He's had enough.
Where is the sound guy?
He shares his frustration with producers backstage.
I was trying to protect Danielle from saying that information for over 2 years now. Over 2 years. Until she said it by herself on camera.
Right. So he's right about that. He actually wanted to keep it private, and then she said it, and then they started badgering him. Why didn't you have sex with her? And he's being accused of being a terrible person for not having sex with her. And then he's like, well, this is why. It's an interesting indictment sort of balance. You could indictment him for that, but I think you're in a much more stronger foundational place if you're indicting him on the opinion that he was in it for the green card and never loved her and just used her. And as a symptom of that, didn't want to overcome the barrier to sex after getting married. Anyway.
Everybody's attacking me from everywhere. I got so upset to the point that I felt I have to say something to stop these people. And me saying nobody will have sex with someone like you, it wasn't trying to be like insulting her or like say anything about like bad about her.
So his inability to understand why that is a contradictory statement is funny. It's like, when I said no one would want to have sex with someone like her, I didn't think that was insulting. So either the language is different, because he's operating in a different language system, so that's a possible factor. Or he's oblivious, which I don't think he is, or he just doesn't care about her, or he has a hard time predicting how other people are going to feel. I don't know. You make the call. Let me know in the comment below.
And I give her advices. Please, stop doing this kind of stuff. Please, let's change it. Please, let's go to somewhere else and live away from everybody. And let's disappear from this world and start our life. She never listened. Today, I feel...
What is he talking about? So he says, I took her to dinner many times, and I said, let's just leave this place, leave this world, and let's have our own life away, maybe away from the reality TV or something. She has 3 daughters that live in her house, so she can't just disappear. If that's true, that really throws a wrench in my narrative of what was happening, because that's something of a romantic thing. Like, let's just disappear, let's just get away together. So I wonder what the story is behind that story.
Yeah. There is like so much more. I came here with some expectations. I thought I'm going to be with someone who is like a normal person and try to have a life with that person. I did not even find even a little bit from that, okay?
All right, so this has been a central question. Did he really love her? Was he in it to win it from the beginning? And a lot of people think he wasn't. A lot of the cast members don't think he was. And I think maybe Sean doesn't think he was. Or was he legit? And this story is possible. We don't know. It's certainly possible. He's just making this up. But I could see this being true among 1,000 truths that are possible. That he came here thinking, well, and he said one time, I didn't show the clip, I think, he doesn't look at people for their beauty on the outside, he looks at people for the beauty on the inside. And what he thought was that Danielle was, quote unquote, according to him, normal, meaning someone that he could get along with and be attracted to. And then when he got here, the insecurity started to come up, it sounds like, and then he started to see the real her, and he was no longer attracted to her. Now, again, a lot of the cast members would say, well, why didn't you just go back home at that point? Well, it's possible that he thought, well, maybe things will work out. Or maybe I'll just get a green card while I'm at it and I'll leave her. I don't know. Who knows? I don't want to be that xenophobic person that always accuses the non-Americans of nefarious behavior. Who knows? But he just provided some story that we can add to the data regarding like what was in his heart. If we could get him to tell the absolute truth a week before the wedding, what would it have been?
Backstage, Mohamed reaches his breaking point.
There is a limit. And everybody has like so much can take. If you pass that limit, that person is gonna go like mad or upset or crazy or whatever you wanna say it.
Ultimately, Mohamed decides to go.
All right. Well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.